The joke that started a war desert sun burned above the prison like fire. The sky was yellow. The rocks were sharp. Nothing moved in the heat except the chains around Jace's wrists. He sat on the sand with his back against the wall. Dust stuck to his skin. Blood dried on his lip. One eye was almost swollen shut. The aliens had not been gentle. He was the last human prisoner in Outpost Sector 9. Maybe the last human in this system. The war had gone badly, and he had stopped caring until she showed up. Her name was Sierra. She wasn't like the others. Her skin was deep blue, smooth and glowing faintly in the light. Her golden armor shined. But the thing Jace noticed first was the tail. Long, elegant, alive. It moved like it had a mind of its own. She walked past the guards and stopped in front of him. "You are the human." Her voice was sharp and steady. "Depends," Jace said, wiping blood from his mouth. "Who's asking?" "I am Sierra. I've been assigned to study you." "Lucky me," he said, then grinned, despite the pain. "Nice tail." The guards froze. Even the wind stopped. Syraa blinked. Then staggered. Her legs trembled. Her knees buckled slightly as if something struck her from inside. "What did you say?" she whispered. Jace chuckled. "You heard me." Her eyes widened, and then her tail lit up. Blue flame burst from the tip like a sudden wave of lightning. The air around her shimmered. Heat rolled off her like a pulse. Alarms began to scream. Guards raised their weapons. "Commander, she's activating." One shouted, "Get back." Another screamed, but no one moved, because Sierra's body was now glowing. Her tail, wrapped in fire, was curled around her ankles like a ring of light, and her voice was changing. Softer. Older. A second voice echoed behind hers, ancient, whispering something not in any known language. Jace stared. "Okay, that's new." Then Sierra's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed. Before she hit the sand, she spoke 3 words in a whisper that chilled everyone. "He's the key." They dragged Jace away before he could speak. Shoved him into a cold room with metal walls. Left him in the dark. No one explained anything until the door opened again hours later. A tall alien general stepped in, followed by 2 scientists. The general's face was pale. "What did you do to her?" he barked. Jace frowned. "Who?" "Sierra." "I made a joke." "A joke?" the general hissed. "You triggered the blue flame." Jace shrugged. "I didn't mean to." The scientist stepped forward. "It hasn't been seen in over 400 years. It's linked to the flame bond. It's a prophecy." "A what?" The general slammed the table. "You're playing with forces you don't understand. Human, I don't understand any of this." Jace said, "I've been beaten, starved, dragged across half this desert, and now you tell me I lit her tail on fire with a joke." "No." One laughed. "You stay here," the general growled. "If she wakes up again, and the flame grows, we will end both of you." But Sierra did wake up. Hours later. In a quiet, sealed chamber. Her tail no longer burned, but her body felt strange, alive in a way she'd never known. Voices echoed in her head, visions, memories that were not hers. She saw a desert. A human. A hand reaching out, a flame shared between fingers. A warning. "If the flame returns, the world will break and be born again." She gasped. "He's the key," she whispered again. That night, as Jace tried to sleep on the cold floor, he heard a soft hum. Then he sat up. His cell door glowed blue. The metal melted, and she stepped through. Syraa, eyes glowing. Tail silent, but bright. No guards followed. No alarm sounded. Just her. She walked to him slowly. Jace raised his hands. "Look, I was just being sarcastic, okay?" Sierra didn't speak. She bent down. Cut his chains with one touch of her tail flame, and whispered, "You must come with me." Jace stared at her. "Why?" "Because I touched fire," she said, "and it remembered you." The prophesied desert night was cold. Wind blew softly through broken walls of the old alien prison. The fire in Sierra's tail had faded, but a faint blue glow still followed her like a shadow. Jace walked beside her. His hands were free now, but his eyes stayed on her tail, just in case it lit up again. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To the old temple," she said. "It's hidden below this land." "Great. Secret temple. Flames. Glowing aliens. I miss my cell already." Sierra didn't smile. She had changed. Her face was calm, but her mind was storming. She kept hearing voices in her head. Old voices. From her ancestors. They whispered of the flame bond. A legend. A warning. Hours earlier, after she fainted, the high, Council had met in secret. 5 elders. Cold. Wise. Afraid. They spoke of the prophecy. If the blue flame awakens, it must find its match. A flame carrier cannot burn alone. The bond must be stopped, or the past will rise again. They feared the bond not because it was dangerous, but because it revealed truth. Truth about the war. Truth they had buried long ago. Back in the desert, Sarah and Jace reached a narrow crack between the cliffs. She placed her hand on a hidden stone. Blue light ran across the wall. A door opened. They stepped inside. The air changed, cooler, older, full of memory. Torches lit up by themselves. As they walked, this place feels alive, Jace whispered. It remembers, Sarah said. They entered a large room filled with glowing markings. On the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling, symbols danced like firelight. Jace stopped in front of a mural. It showed the figures. A human and an alien. A tail wrapped in blue fire. A hand reaching toward it. That's you, he said. And me? Sarah nodded slowly. This was painted before your kind ever came to this planet. How is that possible? Because your kind was here, long ago, before the war, before the lies. She stepped forward and placed her hand on a stone circle. A flame burst upward. Not hot. Gentle. In the flame, a vision formed. A memory. An alien woman and a human man holding hands, standing before a crowd. They were leaders. Lovers. Peacemakers. The flame joined them together, sharing power. But then came fire, betrayal, and war. And the memory in it. Jace stood silent. They were like us. Sarah turned to him. They were us, the first flame bond. He rubbed the back of his neck. So, why did they die? Because their bond was feared. It was powerful. The powerful. She stepped closer to him. Now the flame has returned, and it chose us. Suddenly, the room shook. A loud sound echoed through the temple walls. Sarah grabbed Jace and pulled him back. They found us, outside. Alien soldiers marched down the canyon. A command ship hovered above the cliffs. Inside it, General Thrax stared at the screen. She betrayed. U.S., he said. The flame has poisoned her mind. What about the human? A soldier asked. Thrax growled. Eliminate him. Inside the temple, Sarah reached for the flame. It touched her hand and crawled up her arm. Her tail lit again. Jace stepped forward. What do? We don't run, she said. We remember. She threw a small crystal into the fire. It glowed and spun. A new vision appeared. This time it showed Jace. Not now. Not here. But a past version. Standing with a woman who looked just like Syra. His ancestor. Hers. The same bond. Reborn. You carry the flame's memory, Sarah said. That's why I responded to your voice. Your blood woke it. Jace looked pale. You mean when I said, nice tail, I unlocked 1,000-year-old prophecy? Yes. He blinked. That's insane. But it's true. The soldiers reached the temple gate. Thrax shouted, bring her out. Kill the human. They planted a bomb. Inside. Sarah turned to Jace. We must leave now. How? The flame will show us. She held out her hand. He took it. Their fingers touched. The flame burst around them in a circle of light. The wall behind them cracked. Opened. And they ran. As the soldiers rushed in, the temple began to collapse. Dust. Fire. Silence. Thrax stared at the empty room. Then at the burning mural of the bond. And he whispered, they've begun the awakening. Miles away, under the desert moon, Sarah and Jace crawled out of a tunnel. They were dirty. Tired. But alive. Jace looked back at the cave. What? Now Sarah stared at the stars. Now we follow the fire. The escapee desert wind howled as Sarah and Jace ran across the sharp rocks. Behind them. The old temple was gone, buried under dust and stone. But the blue flame still flickered around Sarah's tail, glowing like a soft trail behind her. They'll be following us, she said. Jace nodded. Yeah, especially after we lit up like fireworks in that place. They kept moving. The sky above was dark and wide, and the ground below burned with heat even at night. Every few steps, Sarah looked back. Her senses were sharper now. She could feel them. They were coming. In a hidden chamber under Command Ship 07X. General Thrax stood over a table of maps. They're heading toward the silent dunes. His scout reported. Send the Seekers, Thrax said, and alert the sky drones. Yes, General. Thrax clenched his fists. This flame must die in the sand. As dawn broke, Sarah and Jace reached a small cliff. Beneath them stretched the silent dunes, miles of golden waves that swallowed sound. It scattered heat. Once we enter, Sarah said. They won't track us easily. Great, Jace said. But will we get out? If we follow the signs, she replied. Yes. He looked at her. Her skin shimmered in the light. Her eyes were focused, but there was a softness in her voice now, a calmness that wasn't there before. You've changed, he said. The flame is part of me now, she said, and so are you. Jace scratched his head. That's heavy, so is destiny. He smirked. I liked it better when you were just threatening to stab me. She almost smiled. Almost. They stepped into the dunes. Immediately, everything became quiet. The wind stopped. Their footsteps made no sound. Even their breathing felt distant. This place is strange, Jace whispered. It's sacred, Sarah replied. This is where the first bond ended. They walked in silence. Above them, drones passed by, but the dunes hid them. No signal could enter. No signal could leave. After hours of walking, they reached a tall stone buried halfway in the sand. Old markings covered it. Jace touched it and it glowed faintly. What's it say? He asked. Syraa read slowly. Where flame meets flesh, truth will wake. Dig and return the spark. Cryptic. She pulled out a blade and began digging near the base. After a few minutes, the sand shifted. A hidden hatch clicked open. They looked at each other. Then climbed down. The tunnel led them into a cave, cool and blue. Inside was a single platform, floating in the middle of the room. On it, a box made of crystal. Syraa approached. Her tail flared. The box opened. Inside an orb of living fire. Blue. Gentle. Whispering. Double quotes. What is that? Jace asked. The seed, Sarah said. A core, the original flame. It responds to those who carry memory and truth. Jace stepped closer. The flame inside the orb pulsed. It knows you, Sarah said. But why? He asked. I'm just a guy who got captured. No, she said. You're the one the fire chose. Suddenly, the cave walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A loud boom echoed from above. They looked up. They found us, Sarah said. Outside, General Thrax stood at the edge of the dunes. A sonic blast cannon hummed beside him. Fire again, he said. Bury them. Inside the cave, cracks formed. We need to leave, Jace said. Not without the seed, Sarah replied. She reached into the orb. The flame didn't burn her. Instead, it entered her tail, traveling up her spine and into her heart. Her eyes glowed bright. I feel everything, she whispered. The past, the pain, the truth. Jace grabbed her arm. We have to go, now. They ran through a back tunnel, barely dodging falling rocks and fire. A final explosion threw them forward and out into the sand. They rolled down a dune, coughing and covered in dust. Above them, the cave collapsed. The entrance was gone, but the seed was not lost. It was inside her now. Drones swarmed overhead. They were spotted. Run? Jace asked. No, Sarah said, standing tall. She raised her hands. The blue flame burst from her tail in a circle. It pulsed upward, blinding the drones. They sparked. Crashed. In seconds, the sky was clear. Jace blinked. Okay, that's new. The seed gave me more, Sarah said, but it won't last long. He looked at her, eyes wide. How far can you take this? She looked toward the horizon, far enough to reach the truth. Behind them, Thrax watched through a broken screen. His voice trembled with anger. She carries the seed, he said, and the human. He paused. He unlocked it. On the edge of the dunes, Jace and Sarah stood together. The desert behind them. The road ahead unknown. What now? Jace asked. We found the place where the bomb began, Sarah said. And then, we hid what they tried to bury. The bond stars above the desert were brighter than ever. Jace and Sarah rested near a quiet cliff, far from the ruins and the chasing ships. They had walked for hours after escaping the silent dunes. Now, the wind was soft and the sky stretched. Forever, they sat beside a small fire. No blue flame, just real heat from dry sticks. You don't talk much, Jace said, watching her stare at the stars. I'm listening, she replied. To what? Sarah touched the spot near her heart. The seed. It whispers now. What's it saying? She paused. It's showing me, you. Jace raised an eyebrow. Me, your past, your family, your dreams, the pain you hide. That's not creepy at all. She looked at him. You carry so much and still make jokes. It's how I survive. She nodded slowly. It's how you protect yourself. Jace poked the fire with a stick. And what about you? How do you protect yourself? I didn't, she said. until you came. A few hours earlier, Sarah had collapsed after the escape. The flame inside her had overloaded. It burned too strong. The fast JACE carried her into an old rock shelter. He laid her down gently and watched as blue light pulsed under her skin. She looked peaceful, but in pain. Suddenly, the flame jumped from her tail straight into his chest. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. His mind filled with visions, not of war but of love. A human and an alien, standing together in FIRELIGHT. Holding hands, fighting, side by side. Whispering words only Flame could hear. Then the vision faded, and Jace was left gasping. Back at the fire, Sarah spoke again. The bond is growing. Between us? Jace asked. Yes. It's not just a connection. It's a balance. What does that mean? I carry the flame. You carry the memory. Together, we can unlock what the galaxy has forgotten. He looked down at his hands. I'm just a guy who made a joke that opened history. He sighed. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I, she said. They sat in silence. Then she whispered, but maybe we needed it. In the skies above, General Thrax received a new report. They were seen heading toward the Old Moon Road. A scout said, then they are going toward the Mirror Place. Thrax growled. What is it? A place where the flame first touched the ground. He replied, if they reach it, the bond will become permanent. And if that happens, they won't just carry the flame. They'll become it. As Jace and Sarah traveled through the old canyons, the land began to change. The rocks glowed faintly. Blue symbols floated in the air. Whispers followed them. Ancient voices. This place is alive, Jace said. It's responding to us. Sarah replied. Feels like walking through a dream. No, she said. You're walking through memory. They reached a shallow pool hidden in the rocks. It was perfectly still. Stars reflected on its surface, even though the sun had not yet set. What is this? Jace asked. The Mirror Place, Sarah said. She stepped into the pool. The water didn't ripple. It glowed. She held out her hand. Come. Jace hesitated, but he took her hand and stepped in. The moment he touched the water, everything changed. The world around them vanished. They stood in a blue field. Light floated through the air like soft feathers. Giant symbols circled them. In front of them, the glowing figures appeared. A human man. An alien woman. They looked just like Jace and SYRAA. But older. Stronger. Together. The flame wrapped around their bodies like armor. There. U.S. Jace whispered. No, Sarah said. They're the first. We are the echo. The vision spoke. No words. Just feelings. Unity. Truth. Betrayal. The galaxy had feared the bomb because it could end lies. Because it made war harder to sell. Because it made enemies in the family. The vision faded. The pool calmed. JACE and Sarah stood in silence. Their hands still held. She turned to him. From this moment, we cannot be separated. What if we try? Then the flame dies. He nodded slowly. Then we stayed together. She looked into his eyes, not just to run, to fight, to change everything. He gave a small smile. Guess I really lit your tail. This time, she smiled too, a real smile, the first one. In a shadowed sky, Thrax's fleet began to gather, dark shapes across the clouds. They were moving fast. And they were not coming to talk, but Jace and Sarah were no longer running. Now, they were ready. The betrayal wind shifted. The sky turned gray above the canyon as Jace and Sarah walked toward a small outpost. Built into the rocks, it looked abandoned, but Sarah knew better. There's someone here, she said quietly. Friend or enemy? Jace asked. Depends who still remembers the truth. They entered the outpost. Rusted doors creaked open. Inside, lights flickered. Old machines hummed softly. It smelled of metal and dry air. A tall alien woman stepped from the shadows. She wore a long cloak and a sharp gaze. Sarah, she said, you survived. Sarah nodded. Mira, it's been a long time. The woman's eyes moved to Jace. And this is the human. His name is Jace. Sarah said, we need your help. Mira led them to a hidden chamber. Blue light glowed from walls covered in ancient writing. Jace felt a strange warmth. The flame inside him responded. This is a safe place, Mira said. For now she gave them food, water, and rest. But Jace didn't trust her. Not fully. Later, while Sarah slept, Mira sat across from Jace. You know what she's becoming? Mira asked. I think so, Jace replied. And you? I'm part of it. Mira leaned closer. You know the bond isn't just power. It's memory, pain, history. Once it completes, you'll feel everything she feels, forever. I know. Then why stay? Jace looked at Sierra, sleeping peacefully, because she didn't run when she could, and neither will I. That night, Jace woke to whispers. He stepped out of the room and followed the sound. He found Mira speaking into a small transmitter. They're here, she said. Both of them. Prepare the trap. Jace froze. His heart pounded. He backed away. But a floor panel creaked. Mira turned sharply. Their eyes met. You were never helping us, Jace said. Mira raised a weapon. I helped her once, before she followed the flame. She's your friend. No, she's a threat. And you're worse. You're the key to waking the old fire. They'll burn the world to keep it hidden. What is the truth? Jace said. Truth doesn't matter when people are afraid. Sierra appeared in the hallway, blue flame rising from her tail. Her eyes burned with anger. I trusted you, Mira. Then you're a fool, Mira said. You're carrying a weapon, not a gift. It's not a weapon unless you force it to be. Guards moved in from both sides of the outpost. Jace grabbed Sierra's hand. We run again? She shook her head. No, not this time. Her tail burst into full flame. Walls cracked. The floor shook. The lights exploded. Blue fire circled them like a shield. Mira screamed, Stop. You'll destroy everything. But Sierra stepped forward. Her voice calm, steady. They let everything built on lies fall. They blasted through the back wall and escaped into the night. The outpost burned behind them. Jace looked back. She'll come after us. Let her, Sierra said. We've seen betrayal before. They ran until they reached a cliff. Belawan. Old transport station half buried in sand. We can use that to reach the capital line, Sierra said. And then we walk into the center of the line and show them the truth. Meanwhile, Mira stood in the ashes of her outpost. General Thrax appeared on her calm screen. You failed, he said. They're heading to the capital. Mira replied. That we end this before they arrive. Above the sand, ships began to rise. Dozens of them. Dark, silent, ready to crush whatever hope remained. In the ruined station, Jace and Sierra found an old data core. It still worked. Jace connected it to his wristband. Files flashed to life. Images. Recordings. Orders. Proof. They saw it all. The war was planned. The flame bomb was real. The betrayal ran deep, far deeper than even Sierra had believed. If we show this, Jace said, they won't be able to hide anymore. Sierra nodded. But they'll try to kill us before we get the chance. Outside, the ground shook. The first shadow ship arrived. Drones dropped from the sky. Jace stood by the broken window. How many? Too many, Sierra said. He looked at her. Do we fight? We burn. She stepped forward. The flame rose. Again, brighter than ever. Jace placed his hand on her back. The fire didn't hurt him. It welcomed him. Wrapped around both of them. Joined them. Above, the sky turned blue. Not from machines, but from memory. The bond was no longer just between two people. Now, it had a voice, and it was ready to speak. Asterisk. The awakening dawn rose red over the desert. The sky burned like fire, and the ground trembled beneath the weight of incoming ships. Dark shadows circled the old transport station where Jace and Sierra made their stand. They had nowhere left to run, but they didn't need to. They were no longer running. They'll be here in minutes, Jace said, gripping the stolen data core. Syrra stood beside him, calm. Let them come. Blue flame flickered from her tail and rose slowly along her arms. The seed inside her pulsed with ancient energy. The bond had grown stronger overnight. Now, her heartbeat was linked with Jace's. He could feel her fear and her courage inside. The command ship, General Thrax, watched the station on his screen. Prepare all forces. Destroy them. Erase the flame. Erase the bond. But sir, if they have the data, then we make sure no one ever sees it. The first wave of drones dropped from the sky. Fast. Silent. Deadly. But as they neared the station, Sierra stepped forward. Her eyes glowing bright. The flame burst from her body in a ring of blue light. The air cracked. The drone stopped midair, frozen, then turned to dust. Jace blinked. You didn't even move. The flame moved for me, she said. It's awake now. A second wave came this time. Soldiers. They landed near the station, weapons raised. Jace uploaded the data to a signal tower. Buy me 60 seconds. He said. Syrra nodded. The flame swirled around her feet like a living wind. As the soldiers charged. She walked calmly forward. A wall of fire rose between her and the enemy. The soldiers fired, but their shots vanished in the heat. Then the flame jumped, moving like a wave across the ground, knocking them all back. Not one shot touched Jace. He kept uploading. Above, Thrax growled. She's become the flame. Should we retreat? His captain asked. No. We crush her before she fully awakens. He turned to his weapons officer. Fire the core cannon. Level the station. On the ground, Jace looked up. The sky cracked. With light, a red beam began to form. Syrah, she turned and saw it too. They're going to erase the land. Jace reached out. Let me help. Syrah stared at him. You could die. He stepped closer. We die anyway if they erase the truth. She took his hand. The flame jumped from her skin to his. It didn't burn. Instead, it wrapped around both of them, twisting, merging. His eyes glowed. Her tail shined like a star. They rose from the ground together, held by the flame. The cannon fired. A thick red beam tore across the sky, but the flame met it midair. The two forces crashed. Wind howled. Light exploded, and for one full minute, the world held its breath. Then the red beam shattered. The cannon burst into flames. General Thrax screamed. What are they? His ship shook. The engines failed. The fleet began to fall back. One by one, they ran. Jace and Syrah floated gently. Down. Their feet touched the ground. The signal tower beeped. Upload complete, Jay said. Across the galaxy, screens lit up. Cities, ships, homes. They all saw the same thing, the hidden truth. The flame bond, the first unity. The betrayal, the plan, and the figures standing in blue light, holding hands. In the capital, the High Council sat in silence. One counselor whispered, it's real. Another said, they were right. A third stood and said, then the age of lies is over. On the edge of the desert, Syrah looked at Jace. The flame is fully awake. What now? He asked. She smiled gently. Now the galaxy must choose fear or truth, and the fire inside her tail burned brighter than ever. Not as a weapon, but as a promise. The new beginning. Days passed since the flame burst into the sky. The warships were gone. The lies were exposed, and the galaxy had gone quiet, not in fear, but in shock. The truth had landed like a stone in still water, and the ripples were everywhere. Jace and Syrah stood at the edge of a silver lake. They had traveled far since the battle. They needed space, air, time to understand what they had become. It's peaceful here, Jace said. Yes, Syrah answered, but peace feels strange. He looked at her. You're different now. So are you. She wasn't wrong. His eyes still glowed faintly when the sun touched them. Her tail now shimmered even when still. They had changed inside and out. Not just flame bearers. But truth keepers. A small ship landed nearby. A young alien girl stepped out. Nervous, curious, she walked toward them slowly. Are you the bond? She asked. As Yra knelt down, smiled gently. We are. My village sent me, the girl said. They want to learn. Jace blinked. Learn. How to speak without fear. How to listen without hate. How to burn without destroying. They looked at each other. We didn't come to teach, Syrah said softly, but maybe, Jace added. It's time we do. Soon, more ships came. Small ones. Unarmed. Filled with people from all across the galaxy. Aliens who had once been enemies. Humans who had once been soldiers. They came quietly. Some brought food. Some brought old stories. Some just brought hope. A camp was built by the lake. No walls. No weapons. Just a circle of fire in the center. A place to sit, to speak. To learn. They called it the Bond Circle. News reached every corner of the stars. Even the High Council was forced to act. Their oldest laws were questioned. Their darkest secrets laid bare. Many leaders resigned. Others asked for help. Not everyone welcomed change. Some still feared the flame. Some still whispered about control and war. But they were fewer now. And getting quieter. One night, as Jace sat by the fire, an old man approached him, a human general. His face was tired, his eyes full of regret. I once gave the order to burn flame carriers, the general said. I believe they were dangerous. They were, Jace replied, when hunted. The man nodded. Double quotes. May I sit? Yes. The general sat quietly by the fire and said nothing more. That silence was enough. Syra stood before a crowd the next day. Her voice steady. The flame is not a weapon, she said. It is a mirror. It shows what we hide and what we can be. She looked at Jace. It grows best in those brave enough to love. The blue flame now danced in lanterns across the lake. Children played in its glow. Elders shared its warmth. No one feared it anymore. Jace walked alone one evening and stood at the top of a hill. He looked at the stars. He thought of the first time he met HFY. The insult. The fire. The danger. And the moment everything changed. She had let him in. And in doing so, he had become something more. HFY joined him on the hill, thinking. Always, he said. She smiled. They're asking if we'll stay. He raised an eyebrow. Do we have to decide now? Not yet. They watched the sky. The flames burning side by side. Do you think it'll last? Jace asked. What? Peace. She took a deep breath. Only if we keep telling the truth. He nodded slowly. Then let's never stop. Behind them, laughter rose from the lake. Soft music played. The camplights shimmered, and the galaxy felt new again. And so the bond lived on. Not in war. But in memory. Not as fear, but as fire. Shared. Kindled. Passed hand to hand. Heart to heart. Across worlds. Across time. Forever.